must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur who is doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is.
It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, "He is our son and he is our thief."
If you are deviant
Yes.
and I call you leader,
Yes.
probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth
Yeah.
in the security,
Yes.
governance,
Yes.
and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers,
Yes.
do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa.
The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
Afternoon to you, and thank you so much for finding time to being with us at this day. My name is Miriam Ogutu. The show is Diaspora Dispatches, where I get to bring you the latest from the continent of Africa and the latest from Nigeria this afternoon. A former U.S. President Donald Trump has praised Nigeria's government for banning Twitter after it deleted President Muhammadu Buhari's post for breaching its rules. He urged other countries to ban Twitter and Facebook for not allowing free and open speech. Mr. Trump was banned from both platforms after the U.S. Capitol riot in January. And then we head over to Uganda. And Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has appointed a new cabinet with 31 ministers and 50 deputies. The list features over 10 female cabinet members. Jessica Alupo, a retired army major, is the new vice president, the second woman in the country's history to be appointed to that position. She has previously served as education minister. Robina Nabanja, a senior ruling party official, becomes the prime minister and leader of government business in parliament. She has been a deputy health minister. Rebecca Kadaga, a lawyer and career politician who was until recently the Speaker of Parliament, becomes the new first Deputy Prime Minister. She will also be in charge of the East African Community Ministry. The cabinet has more entrants from the armed forces. The current Commander-in-Chief of the Army, General David Muhonzi, becomes the Deputy Minister for Internal Affairs. General Muhonzi is also representative of the military in Parliament. And also, just to add to that, he is the son of President Yoweri Museveni. We head over to Mozambique, and dozens of children, most of them girls, have been abducted by jihadist groups over the past year. British charity Save the Children is now saying the charity says at least 51 children have been abducted amid violence and insecurity that has displaced hundreds of thousands of people. It notes that number of children abductions is likely to be far higher as its report only reflects the reported cases. The charity has expressed concern that such abductions were a new and alarmingly regular tactic by armed groups involved in the conflict. Head over to Namibia, and opposition members of parliament in Namibia have attacked the government for its recent settlement with the former colonial power Germany. The deal saw Berlin acknowledge that it committed genocide against the Herero and Nama ethnic groups and pledged 1.1 billion euros for their welfare today. In a rowdy parliamentary session on Tuesday, one opposition legislator said there had been no chance to narrate the economic trauma caused by the genocide. Another said Herero and Nama people would reject the accord with contempt. The Prime Minister, Sarah Kugungelwa Amadila, said the most important thing was for the Namibians to stay united. Namibia's Vice President last week said the money from Germany was not enough, but the issue would be revisited. Between 1904 to 1908, German colonial forces wiped out more than half of the Nama and about 80% of the Herero people's population. We head back to Nigeria, and many Nigerians have been continuing to tweet in defiance of government's threats to arrest and prosecute anyone violating the ban it imposed on Twitter. They're using the virtual private networks and bypass the ban after telecommunication companies heeded the government's directive and blocked the microblogging site. The ban was announced on Friday after the government alleged that Twitter was being used to undermine Nigeria's corporate existence through the spread of fake news and have violent consequences. We go to Ethiopia, and Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and President Uhuru Kenyatta on Tuesday witnessed the official awarding of a telecommunications license to a consortium of private companies in Addis Ababa. The consortium will be the only privately owned mobile service provider as Ethiopia seeks to liberalize the economy. The issuance of an operating license is the first step in a journey expected to give Ethiopians an alternative to state-owned monopoly Ethio Telecom. The two leaders termed the event monumental for Ethiopia. The consortium is led by Kenya's Safaricom, which will own 52% stake in the new business. And then we head over to South Africa, and South African Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize has been placed on special leave by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Pending a corruption probe, Dr. Mkhize is being asked to address allegations that two of his close aides embezzled more than $6 million from public coronavirus funds using a front company that was awarded a contract to run the Health Ministry's COVID communications. The minister, whose handling of the pandemic has been praised, denies any wrongdoing and is seeking to state his case to the governing African National Congress, ANC. We head to Burkina Faso, and the United Nations Refugee Agency says that thousands of villages in Burkina Faso urgently need water, sanitation, shelter, and medical care, having fled their homes after Saturday's massacre by Islamist militants. UNHCR spokesperson praised the generosity of people in other villages in welcoming and sharing what little they had with more than 3,300 who fled Solhan. He said the agency was working with the Burkinabe government to build shelters and help the displaced, but more resources were needed. Up to 160 people were killed in the attack on Solhan. The UN says nearly 40 are seriously injured and in hospital. And the latest from Mali is that the former Nigerian president, Goodluck Jonathan, on Tuesday held a meeting with the head of Mali's junta, Colonel Assimi Goïta, in Bamako in a desperate attempt to save the country's fragile transition. Jonathan is ECOWAS envoy for Mali. Goïta was sworn in on Monday as the country's president, 2 weeks after he removed transitional President Bado, attracting suspension and condemnation by the African Union. The trip was Jonathan's second in 2 weeks. Goïta has vowed to stick to the old transition schedule, which prescribes election for next February. And then we go to Algeria, and political campaigns for Algeria's impending legislative elections ended Tuesday. Algerians are gearing up for the 12th of June elections to elect members of parliament. Supporters of Algeria's MSP party rally ahead of the civic exercise. There are more than 13,000 candidates, with many of them contesting as independent candidates. Some 24 million voters will elect 407 new lawmakers this Saturday ahead of the polls. The main issue at stake is voter turnout, as part of Algeria's opposition has rejected the elections. The increasing protest by the Hirak movement also lacks around. And then we go to Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe's government is facing criticism for turning down a donation of 3 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Authorities say they are not prepared to deal with the refrigeration requirements and possible side effects. But critics also point to politics as the reason behind the government's decision. In a letter to the African Export-Import Bank, Zimbabwe's government explained it was still analyzing possible side effects of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Finance Ministry Secretary George Guva Matanga also said the country does not have the storage facility required for the doses. But in an interview, Dr. Norman Matara from the Zimbabwean Association for Doctors for Human Rights said Johnson & Johnson vaccines are stored at the same temperatures as China's Sinopharm and Sinovac vaccines, which Zimbabwe has been using since February. And then we head over to Cameroon, and the country's clergy in Cameroon have appealed to both sides in the country's separatist conflict to stop abducting and harassing priests. Within the last 2 weeks, 6 Roman Catholic priests and missionaries have been abducted and a church attacked, leaving at least 2 dead and 11 wounded. The Roman Catholic Church in Cameroon says its priests and missionaries are suffering assaults, abductions and torture in the country's separatist conflict. A church press release on Tuesday says Cameroon's military took Reverend Father Sylvester Ngamba Nsah from Vekovi, a northwestern village, on June 4th and have yet to release him. The church says the military accused Nsah of cooperating with separatists, which the church has since denied. We come back to East Africa, rather Horn of Africa, that is Somalia, and more than 60 Al-Shabaab militants, including foreign fighters, were killed in an explosion at a village about 65 kilometers west of southern Somalia, the army said in a brief statement on Tuesday. The Somalian National Army said the Al-Qaeda allied terrorists died in a blast which took place at their compound in Alafuto village in the Lower Shabelle region after the bomb which was being assembled exploded. The explosion took place at the Al-Shabaab compound after explosive materials which were being prepared for terrorists exploded on Monday. Al-Shabaab's bomb experts and foreign terrorists were among those who were killed. And then we go back to Nigeria, and Nigeria's Attorney General Abubakar Malami has said he had deactivated his Twitter account, eliciting reactions that he may have used a virtual private network VPN to do that, as the site is inaccessible in the country. Mr. Malami had threatened to prosecute Nigerians using VPN to access Twitter. A VPN connection makes it appear as if the user is accessing the internet from another country and has been a way to get around bans. The Attorney General has shared a screenshot on his Facebook page showing he had deactivated his Twitter account. Social media users questioned how he accessed Twitter without using VPN, asking that he prosecutes himself fast. And of course, President's wife Aisha Buhari has since deactivated also her Twitter account. And then we still staying with Nigeria. Nigeria is just that gift that just keeps on giving. All right, the Special Assistant on Media and Public Relations to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Omar Gwandu has reiterated that all those violating the suspension order in place on the operations of social media platform Twitter will be prosecuted. But the Christian Association of Nigeria warned government against arresting and prosecuting Twitter ban violators, particularly clerics, whose tweets were meant for their church members worldwide. Many senior lawyers have faulted Malami's position as saying Nigerians cannot be prosecuted for an offense that is not known to the nation's law. Despite the prosecution order, many prominent Nigerians have continued using Twitter openly, daring the police to arrest them and the office of the AGF to prosecute them. On Tuesday, the Benue State Governor Samuel Otom joined prominent Nigerians who tweeted despite the federal government's ban. The governor tweeted, "The ban on Twitter is not only illegal, but it is also ill-advised move to divert the attention of Nigerians from the federal government's failure to tackle insecurity in parts of the country. It amounts to suppression of fundamental human rights and gagging of social media." Recall that is his Kaduna State counterpart, Nasir El-Rufai, who tweeted on Sunday, despite the ban, and Gwandua, speaking to the Punch in his response, said efforts were ongoing to ensure that all those violating the order were prosecuted. He, however, said it was not automatic because the process of arresting and prosecuting them would take time. And I'll just quote him what this person said. That is the Special Assistant on Media and Public Relations in the Office of the Attorney General in Nigeria. This is what he said. We are definitely on to ensure that prosecution of all violators, the hands of all stakeholders are on deck to ensure that all those violating the Twitter ban are prosecuted. But of course, they did not say how they will get a hold of these people. And we conclude with some news from South Sudan. The United Nations has condemned the killing of 2 aid workers in the Central Lake State of South Sudan. The South Sudanese nationals were working for an Italian aid agency. They were ambushed by heavily armed men as they returned from delivering nutritional supplies to health facilities in Ural area. The UN said their vehicle was clearly unidentifiable and have called on authorities to immediately investigate the killings. Was clearly identifiable, right? It comes amidst a sharp rise in killings and violence across South Sudan that has claimed lives of more than 200 people since mid-May. 4 aid workers have been killed in this year alone, and all in the past month. 9 aid workers were killed in 2020, and that is the latest from the continent this afternoon. Like I said there, well, Nigeria... all right, Nigeria has become the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you so much for watching this afternoon. Can you let me know where you're watching us from? And just like us to have just a bit of a conversation over some of this news, and then we can see what happens. And so let me know if you, whatever you're watching me from, if at all you're in Nigeria, if at all you've been able to tweet since that ban on Friday. And President, Trump, former president of the United States, who said that he really congratulated President Buhari for banning Twitter from Nigeria, and we know why, because Twitter suspended his account earlier after that insurrection that happened at the U.S. Capitol Hill. Was it in January? Yes. And so, of course, they permanently deleted his account from Twitter. So he's sour. He's annoyed, obviously. So, yes, I don't know why he found it necessary to come and congratulate, President Buhari for banning Twitter. And also, Facebook also suspended his account. You know that, suspended the account of former president of the U.S., Donald Trump. So in a statement, let me just read to you what Trump said in this statement. Congratulations to the country of Nigeria, who just banned Twitter because they banned their president. He said in a statement that was released yesterday, he suggested that he would have banned Facebook while he was in office, but said the company's boss, Mark Zuckerberg, kept calling me. That's just insert Trump's voice there. So I'll just quote him. He said, he kept calling me and coming to the White House for dinner, telling me how great I was. Yeah. Whenever you're looking for entertainment, just look for what Trump is saying, on his website, I think, because now you can't access him through Twitter and Facebook. So he said that Mark Zuckerberg used to go to his office wherever he threatened to ban Facebook, and Mark will tell him how great the 45th president was. And Mr. Trump also backed a named rival social media platform, saying they will emerge and take hold. The 45th U.S. president, of course, has struggled for attention since his access to Twitter and Facebook was blocked. A website he launched last month to get his word out was closed because of poor traffic. I think I was watching, the comedians in the U.S., Jimmy Kimmel, especially, they'll make fun of him. And they were saying how, there's a news piece that was written that suggested that the traffic flow since, that website has been there has really greatly reduced. So nobody is going there to look for, that nonsense that Trump has to say. I think people are slowly coming back to their senses, even his former supporters and a lot of his supporters. And so he was not happy that the numbers were going down. So being the narcissist that he is, he just could not even, take it, because, Trump, everything he does has to be bigly. It has to be bigly. It is the biggest crowd. It is the biggest war. It is the most beautiful wall that he was supposed to build, that he never built, that Mexico was supposed to pay for and never did. So, I mean, it is a nutcase, And so Facebook banned him, Twitter banned him. So he decided he'll be communicating with his people through the website. So it was not doing very well in terms of traffic. And so he was not happy that was the case. So he decided to just close down the website. Interesting. But he is congratulating President Muhammadu Buhari for going ahead and banning Twitter from Nigeria. And I ask, for how long will Twitter in Nigeria be closed? And very interesting, because Nigerians now are going ham on the Attorney General, who was able to log into his Twitter account and log out and remove his account. Right, but because you must log into Twitter, and he did this even after the ban has been in effect. And so Nigerians are asking him, so how did you log into your Twitter account and delete your account, and without breaking that law that you have put in place? So if you want to prosecute us for violating this unlawful law, then you have to prosecute yourself first, because this law has no standing. And as I was reading this interview that the Special Assistant on Media and Public Relations to the Attorney General on the Federal Federation and Minister of Justice, Omar Kouadou, he had an interview with The Punch, and he was asked specifically, how about these people who continue to violate this ban on Twitter? And he was asked about Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, and we also saw Benue State Governor Samuel Otom. They've all been tweeting, and those are the pastors and clergy and other people across Nigeria who has been able to circumvent this, ban and pass their, whatever they need to do, the communication to the rest of the world through Twitter. And he was asked, and his response was that he said efforts were ongoing to ensure that all those violating the order were prosecuted. He, however, said it was not automatic, because the process of arresting and prosecuting them will take time. We are definitely on it to ensure the prosecution of all violators. The hands of all stakeholders are on deck to ensure that all those violating the Twitter ban are prosecuted. But he did not say under what law in Nigeria. He said that Nigerians cannot be prosecuted. A lot of senior lawyers in Nigeria are saying Nigerians cannot be prosecuted for an offense that is not known to the nation's law. If you want to create a law, because right now as it is, there's no law where the government of Nigeria is basing this Twitter ban. So if you want, perhaps, maybe you could have asked your members of parliament to create a law that will allow you to lawfully ban Twitter in Nigeria. But as it is, people from the legal mind are saying this ban has no legal standing. And it's interesting. So maybe this person is saying that it will take that, the prosecution is not automatic because the process of arresting and prosecuting them will take time. Why don't you just pick on these people that you already know? Why don't you go for the Kaduna State Governor El-Rufai? You know him. Why don't you go for the Benue State Governor? Start with those that you know, and we see if you can prosecute them, and take them to a court of law and say this is what they have done and this is the law they have broken in Nigeria. And let's just see how that works out for you. They're very interesting, and of course many Nigerians have continued to tweet in defiance of government threats to arrest and prosecute anyone violating the ban it imposed on Twitter. And I guess the government is still in talks with Twitter, so let's just see. I think at this point President Buhari is maybe regretting that reactive decision that he made. He probably should have taken his time or found a better way of addressing the fact that his tweet was deleted from Twitter by Twitter, but banning it from the country, I think by now he realizes was not the right decision. And we've been having this conversation. And so Emmanuel Malachi, you're saying Trump did not ban Twitter or Facebook. They were removing his tweets, but he's supporting a dictator, Buhari, for banning Twitter in Nigeria. Interesting. And if President Trump came and complimented you or said you're doing something right, I think the rest of us should worry. The rest of us should worry. Okay? All right, Chinonso, you're saying you love Trump, but you disagree with his stand on Buhari, a ban on Twitter. All right, Amanda Sanders, thank you for watching. Is tweeting Nigerians a problem? I don't know. Kwe Manyom, you're watching from Australia. You're watching from Igbo. William Aja, is it Igbo Domigodo? All right, what is that? And Clement One, you're watching from Yei. And that should be in South Sudan. Is it? Clement, Mika TJ Ben, you're saying you're watching from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And Chibweke, no, so you're watching from Biafra land. So anyway, President Trump is very happy with what President Buhari did there. He's really elated, And so we head over to Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe's government is facing criticism for turning down a donation of the 3 million doses of Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. And we know Johnson & Johnson, I think, is from the US, if I'm not wrong. And they've turned down this donation because they have been using donation from China. Zimbabwe does not get along very well because of the sanctions that has been imposed, and the Western world they've had a tumultuous relationship, Zimbabwe and the European Union and US and the Western world in general. And so they have been accepting the vaccine from China, all right, and they've been using it in that country since February. The Sinopharm and Sinovac vaccines, those are from China, because even when the late president was sick, I think he went for treatment in Far East. That is where a lot of even the vice president Constantine Chiwenga, the general, when he was sick, they either go to Japan or China, those places, to seek for treatment. They don't go to the Western world because a lot of them are facing sanctions, essentially. So they accepted the vaccine from China. And this Johnson & Johnson vaccine they've been given from the US, I think because it's from the US, then they cannot accept because they have been receiving vaccine from China. But is this the time to let politics play into the lives of your people? Zimbabwe, it is just vaccine. Why don't you accept it? We have a health crisis across the world, so why are you letting the politics play into it? Because this is a geopolitical war at its best, and Zimbabwe here, I think, is forced now to take sides, and of course it will side with China, because China has been very friendly, very supportive of Zimbabwe and a lot of other African countries. And because China, they don't have a lot of requirements. When you're looking for loan or something, they will not bring to you the issue of human rights abuses or good governance or anything of the sort, and they will not sometimes demand for accountability. So our leaders prefer facing the East, because the West, when they're giving us help, it comes with a lot of conditions that our leaders are just not really interested. So I think this is just politics, but at what expense Zimbabwe? Because they're saying they don't have the capacity for storage of this vaccine that is coming from the US, and yet they're stored in the same conditions as the vaccines that were received from China. All right, so that is just politics at play there. Museveni had a cabinet reshuffle, and his son now is in parliament. His son is a general, General Muhonzi. He's now been, he's become the representative of the military in parliament. In Ugandan parliament, they have a number of positions that are assigned, that are left for the military to represent the military. I don't know why you have military in parliament, but that is how it works in Uganda. Uganda is ruled, with the military, because Museveni himself is a military man, and now you see what's happening. His son now is in parliament, and he's the representative of the military, and he is the commander-in-chief of the army. His name is General David Muhonzi, so he was included in that cabinet reshuffle that his father did yesterday. All right, and in that cabinet reshuffle, we saw 10 female cabinet ministers and a host of others. So in a total, it is a cabinet of around 81 members, 81 cabinet ministers, 31 cabinet ministers, and 50 assistant cabinet ministers. That is bloated to the core. Sounds like what is happening in South Sudan, but okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So anyway, a former Nigerian President, Goodluck Jonathan, yesterday they held a meeting with the head of Mali's junta, Colonel Assimi Goita, in Bamako, in a desperate attempt to save the country's fragile transition. Jonathan is ECOWAS's envoy for Mali. ECOWAS already removed Mali from that bloc, and so did the African Union, and so I don't know why they keep looking for them. I think this junta, they are doing exactly, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they knew by installing this Assimi Goita as the president, the transitional president, of course, that will go against the principles of ECOWAS and AU, and I think that is what they wanted, to isolate themselves so that they do whatever they want as they're in Mali. And we've seen the last time they had a meeting, it did not go very well, and the former president of Nigeria, Jonathan Goodluck, I think stormed out of that meeting. So yesterday they went back to drawing board, and they were meeting in Bamako, and so they're trying to convince this person how bad of an idea it is that he decided to install himself as the transitional government in Mali against the constitution of the country and against the principles of African Union and ECOWAS. So part of the statement by ECOWAS delegation read, as I said, and it was reiterated by the mediators, that the commitment of ECOWAS has accompanied the transition process so that elections are held according to the schedule that has already been established by the Malian authorities. Therefore, our role will be to support this process, said Jean-Claude Bro, the ECOWAS delegation leader. And so it was agreed that election was supposed to take place in February, the last mediation talk they had. And so ECOWAS was just checking to see if at all this military is committed to seeing a transition in February next year. February is a little too far from today when it comes to politics, and so I don't know if by the time we get to February, this junta would have enjoyed power and all the trappings that come with the position he holds right now in Mali. So I'm not sure if he will be willing to relinquish that power. I think if he stays there longer, that will be a problem. And so the fact that he insisted on staying there and he was crowned and he took oath as Mali's transitional president, I think that in itself is a problem. And who knows, February will come and they decide, no, we still have some rearrangement to do here in Mali. As they said earlier, they said that, Mali needs to be rearranged. The foundations of Mali are faulty, whatever that means. But that was their thinking. And so they're saying, they need to do something in Mali. So maybe it comes, when February comes, they'll say, we've not had enough time to rearrange this country. So we might need a bit more of time for us to even arrange for elections. So I don't know why they're even having a conversation with this person, because they already suspended Mali from that bloc. So if anything, Mali should be looking for them. This military person should be looking for them, to try and, convince them why it was important for him to impose himself as the leader of Mali. But anyway, I think they're just trying to make sure that another country does not go haywire in ECOWAS. A lot of problems in this continent. I think majority are, a lot of them from ECOWAS and northern part of Africa. So ECOWAS has a lot of work to do. So that is that. Well, they said they're committed to the date of transition that should be in February next year. But I think, as I said there, when it comes to politics, February is way too far away. And that junta will might have enjoyed power way too much for him to think that he wants to leave it will be a problem there. And that might create another crisis in the country, in Mali. All right. So that is that. I think that we've looked at what I wanted us to look at. And so let me see. So Nigeria's Attorney General Abubakar Malami, as I said there, Nigerians are not very happy that he was able to deactivate his Twitter account, because you had to log in first on Twitter before you deactivate your account. You must have logged in on Twitter. See, Attorney General Abubakar Malami, and you are the one who's supposed to be prosecuting people who are violating this rule, and yet you are the one who violated this rule. So essentially, you're supposed to start with yourself when it comes to prosecution, because you violated this ban that your government put in place. And of course, social media users questioned how he accessed Twitter. Nigerians questioned, and without using VPN, asking that he prosecutes himself. So there's a comment that was left with one Nigeria that I think has really trended. His name is Roy Ekweme, and he said, this is evidence that you logged into Twitter today via VPN to deactivate your account, which is punishable under your unlawful law. Let us see how you prosecute others without throwing yourself in jail. Okay? Yeah, so you have to get yourself in jail first for violating that ban, and then now come for us. So that is what they're saying. Let me just read a bit of your comments here, and then I think we'll just call it a day, perhaps. Ekuchuku Bernard Madu, thank you so much, and a very good afternoon to you. Thank you. Where are you watching me from, Ekuchuku? Ogebe Omot Ochan, you're watching from Kiambu. You're in Kenya. All right. Thank you so much, Ogebe. Thank you, Chibweke, and also you're watching from Biafra land. And Mika, you're saying you're watching from Malaysia. And Ikichuku, thank you. Saying you're watching, you're enjoying the broadcast. Thank you. Night Michael of Soa, you're saying, hi Miriam, how are you? Thank you. I'm very well, and you're watching from Western Australia. Thank you so much. Well, I had some news from, is it South Sudan? Yes, I did. I had some news from South Sudan. And the United Nations, of course, is raising concern over the killings that have increased of aid workers, that is hampering now for aid to get to the people that needs it there in South Sudan. And I've been trying to look for reports and find out what is happening in South Sudan in regards to the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. I haven't seen much. The leadership of South Sudan is perhaps not doing much, so there's not much to report in terms of the progress this is making there. I'm really invested in this peace process in South Sudan. I want to know what's happening, and the president's office has not been very forthcoming with any new developments. Okay, yes, a night, Michael. Thank you so much for watching. Emeka, you say Nigeria is a failed state. As Hassan Ali or Fire simply want strong Africa and not weak states that are controlled by big power. I agree with you, Hassan Ali. Thank you so much for your time. Ogebe, all right, sawa. Thank you so much. So anyway, also that news that in Somalia, that a group of Al-Shabaab militants were assembling some explosives, and instead it went off and killed 61 of them. Not 60, Al-Shabaab militants died while they were assembling explosives, and that was taking place in the lower Shabelle region. And then it just went off and killed them. I think that's a nice thing. All right, you don't know how many lives those explosives would have claimed. So, okay. All right, very well. I think that is where we will start. We will stop this afternoon. All right, and we will continue following some of these stories because they are developing stories. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Miriam Ogutu. It has been a pleasure. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
The government of Kenya is keen on the development of social economic infrastructure to support the realization of the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. The ambitious infrastructure projects are aimed at opening up the country for business and bolster productivity, particularly in the agricultural, manufacturing and the service industry, as this would bolster employment opportunities. Part of these critical infrastructure projects include the ongoing 27-kilometer expressway linking Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Nairobi's Westlands. Upon completion, the expressway will exponentially reduce travel times within Nairobi and thus help the country save man-hours, which is being lost in the traffic jams on a daily basis. The Lake Victoria Port Modernization Project to increase cargo handling capacity of the port and to increase Kenya's bilateral and multilateral trading within the region. The expansion of healthcare facilities to facilitate fruition of the country's universal healthcare coverage under the Big Four agenda. By speeding up movement of people and goods, the government is aiming to promote trading through reduction of travel times and costs.